Hey guys, welcome back. It's Mr. Vince, and I am feeling a lot better now. Anyways, welcome to episode 2 of the Roblox scripting series. I am deeply sorry for not making an episode last week. I was going to, but the video had to be scrapped because of some recording reasons. But with that said, in this video, I'm going to explain one specific property that you should know about. And that property is none other than assembly linear velocity. The linear velocity of the parts assembly. Now, you might be like, why is this property pretty important to know about? Well, if you are not an experienced studio developer, you may not know what the property is. It's basically the original version of velocity. But we have two different velocities now. So we have one that relies on angles, and we have one that is reliant on the original velocity, except it's just linear, not like angular, pretty much. I'm not experienced with velocity either, but it's pretty awesome, trust me. So you might be like, how can you turn a part into a conveyor belt or a trampoline? Well, it's surprisingly simple, but I'm going to show you guys how to do both. So let's start with the trampoline. If you have played some Roblox games like Jailbreak, you may know that there might be some trampolines present in those games. And I mentioned Jailbreak because it is one of the few games with trampolines. You would find them in the yard, and basically you can actually get on top of the trampolines and get yourself high up into the air. Until eventually they decide to dumb down the trampolines because they were too intense previously, but you probably get the point. So firstly, I'm going to customize this part. If you guys don't know how to insert a part, you can go up to the top in the home tab and then just click on this cube, and then you can insert a part from there. Okay, so before you do anything, make sure that the part is anchored because it will only work if the part is anchored. The velocity of a part will not change if it is anchored, by the way, so please keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm going to customize the part a little bit, so I'm going to do 14, 1, 14. That should be okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and customize the color of the part as well as the material. I'm going to go ahead and select rubber. If you guys don't know, Roblox Studio has new materials that you can use now, so that's actually kind of cool. Now, in order for you to be able to make an actual trampoline, what you need to do is to change this right here to any number greater than 0. So you can do some like 500. You don't want to use a really big number because there are some cases where you're going to bounce super high up into the sky. For testing reasons, I am going to use 500. So make sure you change this right here, the Y, or the Y axis. And if you feel confident that it is good to go, and that you have anchored the part, go ahead and test your game out to make sure that it works. So I'm going to load inside of the game. And if I go ahead and go over to the trampoline, you can see that I actually get launched up into the sky. So that means it works as intended. And that's good because we have to make sure that the trampoline actually works. Pretty cool. But like I said, don't use a really high number like 500 because it is going to launch players way up into the sky. Also, make sure the part is anchored because if you don't anchor it, then in some cases like that, your part is going to pretty much bounce by itself. So you have to be really careful of that. Otherwise, if you are good to go, then you're good to go. So that is how you make a trampoline. It's very simple, it's not very hard to do, but now I'm going to show you guys how to make a conveyor belt. So a conveyor belt is actually a little bit more difficult to make than a trampoline, despite the fact it still requires the same property. The reason is because you have to rely on both the X and Z axes this time. So you cannot rely on the Y axis. Now, unlike the Y axis, you can properly use negative numbers if you want, but it's your choice. So I'm going to go ahead and scale the part like this, so that it's something like that. And it's going to be hard for me to tell what axis I am on, so I'm just going to have to guess with these numbers. All you have to do is just put any number in here, so I'm going to do 250 for the X, and what I'm going to do is just play the game once again, and if I did everything correctly, then I should be able to be transported by the long conveyor belt, as I named it. So here's the trampoline. As you can see, it does work. and this is the conveyor belt. So you can see that, yeah, it actually works. But just like the trampoline, please don't use a large number, because unless if you want to experiment with conveyor belts, you better not make players go way too nuts with that kind of conveyor belt. And yeah, it did work, so that's good. Let me go ahead and select the conveyor belt over here, and what I'm going to do is change the number to some like 15. And I believe x-axis is like from here to here, so that's why I made the part a little bit longer on the x-axis. A little tip that I want to give myself, and maybe to you guys, is if the sun is facing here onto the right a little bit like that, this right here is the x-axis. And the clock time has to be 14 or 14 and a half for it to work. So, yeah. Now, like I said, you can use negative numbers. So I'll go ahead and set this to negative 15 on the x-axis. And if I go ahead and get on the conveyor belt, you can see that I am automatically being transported by the conveyor belt. And you can fight back if you want. So that's actually kind of cool. And to make things even better, the conveyor belt and the trampoline both work on the client, even if you ran into some internet connection issues. So that's actually really awesome. And just like the trampoline, please make sure that your conveyor belt is anchored, because if it's not, then in this case, the assembly linear velocity will update. So please make sure you anchor it before you set the linear velocity. You do not actually have to script linear velocity unless if you want to for whatever reason given. But you can see that, yeah, we got ourselves an automatic conveyor belt. This is pretty much the best way to make conveyor belts. So if you're wondering how Jailbreak is able to add in such conveyor belts inside of the sewers, basically they used assembly linear velocity to manage such sewer transportation. So that's how you can make your own conveyor belts and trampolines. I hope this tutorial helped you guys. I know it was relatively short compared to the first episode, and this one didn't require any scripting, but I just wanted to make it straightforward and simple at the same time. So if you guys have enjoyed, please feel free to leave a like and let me know in the comments what you think. Anyways, hope you guys have a great day. My name is Mr. Vince, and I'll see you guys in the next video.